Thursday with the WrestleZone wrap-up. So much to get into, so much to talk about. Big WWE news, big AEW news. You can see it there on screen. KENTA has kicked down the forbidden door between WWE and between New Japan and AEW. We'll get into all of that. A lot of WWEs that I'll be saying here on the show. I'm Kevin Kellam. Joining me over there is a professional smartass, comedian, and nerd extraordinaire, Adam Kwaselow, who's been with us before. Adam, what are you rocking there on the t-shirt? What is that?
Just a little show called Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
That is Olmec and the animals from all the team names in their colors.
We have plenty of big news. We were going to do the show about an hour ago, and then we had the rollout of the WWE quarterly call, so we waited on that, expecting some big news. We did get some big news. Someone said you look like Seth Rogen, so I'll take that. That's a compliment, right?
Hey. Yeah, here's the thing: is I have lost some significant weight over the last 4 months, and
you're looking great. You're looking great.
Thank you. Seriously. To hear any name other than Jonah Hill is the best compliment I've had in years. Thank you.
Oh, love it. If you're with us for the first time, we have live shows Monday through Thursday. We also do live shows after the pay-per-views and so much more. You can get them on demand on our Facebook, our YouTube, and of course in your ears in the podcast channel. Hours of content for you every week and our channels. We just dropped an interview yesterday with Chris Jericho about his brand new heavy metal documentary, I'm Too Old for This Shit. A great documentary. It just dropped on iTunes, but a band coming back. I know you're a big movie fan. We're gonna have you check that out. Maybe we do a watch along at some point.
Question. Yep. How's that movie doing in the demo?
I don't know. I don't know those exact numbers in me, but we do have some other numbers to jump into, and I want to get into them right away here. If you're just joining us, WWE just wrapping up their quarterly business call. With many people, Vince McMahon speaking on, Stephanie McMahon, new executive for the company, high-ranking executive Nick Khan speaking on this as well. And a lot of this call was about the new WWE deal to move the network in the United States to Peacock, owned by NBC Universal. It is a reported billion-dollar deal. No specific number was given for the deal, though they did outline a lot of different things and just kind of flesh out more of the internal perspective on the deal. Looks like WWE is very, very bullish and confident on what this deal will mean for them, specifically in integrating the WWE brand across the spectrum of NBC. And they noted was how they were able to get involved with an NFL broadcast of a major NFL playoff game to announce their rollout of the next 3 years of WrestleMania, and how much they felt that was a big part of them getting that information, and how they're kind of pivoting with the pandemic, and that this makes them their brand next to football, their brand next to the Olympics, their brand next to all these big shows on Peacock is another upgrade for WWE. What's your take on this Peacock deal? I know you follow showbiz quite a bit.
Yeah.
A lot of good numbers coming on this. And we'll talk about live events with them in a minute, but just on the surface, how do you feel this is coming together?
Well, it's nice to see WWE come to the best streaming service named after a Katy Perry song about dicks. It's you and I have spoken about this. I think it is a fantastic deal for fans, a fantastic deal for WWE. I know that we're socially distancing and wearing masks, but I think the executives should have made out a little bit to celebrate. But
they should have just grabbed each other and started smooching.
Yeah, a little platonic Frenching. And this is where you and I have disagreed. I think NBC is only getting 90 cents on the dollar, but that means great deal for WWE, who never has to worry about churn ever. Well, at least for the next 5 years? They don't have to worry.
Well, I mean, they do.
They don't have to worry.
They specified in this call that the WWE Network in a lot of different international markets will be presented the same way as a direct-to-consumer product that you can get. And WWE, to a degree, in a lot of ways, was a very groundbreaking company. Things were going this way, and WWE was the first company, really, outside of a major sports league, in terms of an entertainment product, to really bet on themselves and say, we're gonna own our own cat. And look how this has benefited them. This is, them doing that a couple of years ago has really come around as a profitable deal.
I love that they were able to, in their biggest market, take renewals and all of the churning issues and cost per acquisition and make that a tall, refreshing glass of somebody else's problem. The thing that I am waiting to see, and I'm sure a lot of fans are, I'm sure a lot of you guys are, is will they be able to bring over their search functions? If I go to Peacock right now and search John Lithgow, I will not get Third Rock from the Sun. I will also not get any matches he may have been in WWE. And you know that the day WWE Network transfers over to Peacock, I am searching Will Sasso. The Will Sasso for WWE Hall of Fame campaign is on again.
Every time you're on the show, you always want MADTV comedian who did one bit. He came into WWE one time and did a Stone Cold impression and took a stunner on SmackDown, I believe.
I'm sorry. Are we discounting the time he was also Hulk Hogan on WWE? Are we discounting the time he wrestled Bret Hart?
Oh my God, was that in WCW?
Yeah, that was in WCW. Are we discounting his Jesse Ventura impression? We better not be. Will Sasso belongs in the WWE Hall of Fame, which I don't want to insult any Hall of Famers, but he belongs in there more than some of the people in the celebrity wing. We need Will Sasso and we need Cyndi Lauper in their stat.
Well, speaking of celebrities on the same network call, we will talk about live events here because we did get I wouldn't call it a major update, but a positive forecasting of what WWE feels they're going to be doing with live events and fans in 2021. So don't worry, we'll get to that here in just a second, and we'll get your questions on screen. We'll do a Q&A before the end of the show. So if you're watching now, stick with us. Just put us on in the background and get your stuff on screen as we're rolling ahead here. Positive things, WWE talking about their celebrity integration of Bad Bunny. I've been talking about it this week. He had a presence at the Royal Rumble. He performed at it. He is one of the most streamed artists in the world. He is Grammy nominated. They integrated him into Monday Night Raw, and there is significant talk that he will be a part of WrestleMania in some physical in-ring way. Whether that's a match or something else, it isn't exactly clear. But we've not seen the last of Bad Bunny in WWE. His presence digitally on WWE content this week drew in 35 million eyeballs. So that is a big, big number. We just talked about celebrities in WWE. You're keen on pop culture, Adam. Even if you don't know Bad Bunny, you know a star when you see one.
The thing is, Bad Bunny, while he may not move the needle for some of us, he's not for us. He is for the worldwide audience.
The worldwide leader in sports entertainment.
Star. Yeah. If they bring on Little Mix, that's going to mean nothing to the US and everything to the UK. That's what this was about.
Yeah.
This was about building that global brand again. And I have heard rumors that he was at the Performance Center this week.
Mm-hmm. That is true. I've heard those rumors. It was well reported, and it's a big star. This is a guy who really wants to do this stuff as much as he can and wants to be a part of it. It's WrestleMania. This is when they bring in celebrities. This is when they play to casuals. And I get it. I don't get his music. I understand where it's cool and popular, but go for it, man. Go. I mean, it makes complete sense. This isn't a Kevin Federline deal. This guy's a huge star. This isn't just like a one-hit wonder guy. And also, this isn't a guy who's like past it. This isn't like they're bringing in Kid Rock. They're not getting someone on the way down. They have someone who's at his peak of popularity right now.
Look, obviously this is not going to be as big of a deal as Kevin Federline, but I do think it has a chance of working. Sorry, Punch-Out champion Kevin Federline.
Oh, stop it.
Stop
it. You're ridiculous. Would you stop? You are Bobby Heeney and me. I had to Gorilla Monsoon you on the show, Adam. I had to Gorilla Monsoon you, and that is a compliment.
Sorry, I understand the man's talent. Bad Bunny is probably, along with, I'd say, Florida Georgia Line, whose music I don't listen to, but it's super popular in states I make fun of. It's probably the biggest current star that they've had in a long time. And again, we do not like to pit wrestling companies against each other. This is not a competition.
No. Fans want us to. And we will talk about that within today's show. We have plenty of
infinitely better off the top rope than Snoop Dogg. Infinitely better.
Yes, he was. A lot of people comparing that splashing it at the Rumble to Snoop Dogg. Snoop landing on his shins first before anything. Whereas Bad Bunny,
Snoop,
well, he did it to the outside of the ring, which is, I think, even more dangerous.
He did a good crossbody, and Snoop fell from a 10-foot height. So that wasn't even falling with style.
I don't mind it. Snoop had fun. Snoop had fun, and definitely went out there with the right intentions as well.
Look, I'm not upset that a man in his 50s didn't do a good wrestling move the first time he was in a ring. But
let's jump over to this topic. Another one coming out of today's investor call, which had a lot of positive news on it. I mean, obviously, some people critical of how are they going to develop growth. There was one interesting question of, is there things they're going to take off maybe a pay-per-view presentation and try and put it on TV so that makes money at Raw a hotter prospect, which was an interesting question. They said anything's on the table. But they definitely are focused on this new Peacock deal and keeping their network partners, which include Fox, which is still a very, very big deal for them, happy. They're still trying to figure out a way to balance all these things. So it's sort of like a non-answer. Now, the biggest thing that we saw...
Fox's money is just as green as NBC Universe.
Yes.
We have to put that out there.
And the most watched show in wrestling right now is still Friday Night SmackDown right now. So by a margin that is considerable. But the big story, I think, for fans coming out of this and where we all are now, and is it still 2020, a month into 2021, is when can fans come back to live shows? Now, obviously, this is based on elements that you are all aware of that have nothing to do with WWE and have everything to do with your president or your governors or your local ordinances or the Center for Disease Control in the United States or whatever governing body you have in the country that you're watching from. So when will WWE get back on the road? It is something they definitely want to do. They plan to have fans at WrestleMania in Raymond James Stadium for 2 nights, April 10th and 11th, with safety protocols. Still no information in this quarterly call. Some people expected it, about how they're going to sell those tickets. Those tickets, I think, will go fast, and their secondary market price will be very inflated. All right. So, but there's no information.
Deserve human rights?
I don't know. I can tell you, as the ones that stole money from me in New Jersey, 2019, they do not. Screw you, Gary. If you're out there, Gary, you took money from me and my friends, and I will never forget it. So the thing is, though, they're feeling that they are going to have live events before the end of 2021, which is a relief. And this is the first time they're officially saying, we feel we will. They don't know the exact parameters. They even said they don't even know if they'll be able to sell merchandise at these events. Like that's when you think about that, like, oh, wow, that's such a logistical thing that you wouldn't know unless you're producing events. You and I have gone and done comedy shows, and some clubs you can sell your own merchandise. Some clubs you can't. Are you opening for someone who's selling their own merch? Like, those are all logistical things. Now, is that a safety issue? Is selling merch a safety problem? And at the scale that WWE wants to do it, would that be a safety problem? Imagine going to WrestleMania and you can't buy a t-shirt. Like, that would be odd for people. But the new normal comes in, and we all know this. There's going to be a transitional phase back to some level of normality, and WWE is trying to weather that and saying they feel they'll be able to do some live events in the second half of 2021.
Yeah. As for the merch thing, it's about the show. Thankfully, this isn't like a rock band where the money is mostly coming from merch. But I do hope that WWE will take this time to learn how to make t-shirts that aren't ruined by dumb designs on the back. And I think by fall might be because that's when, the experts are saying we might get back to some semblance of normality. It might be reduced capacity.
We'll have small scale, like indie wrestling will be back before WWE is. WWE doesn't want to do this unless they're doing it at arena scale, even if it's like some medium level.
For the sake of the performers, and I think for the quality of the shows, I hope that this pandemic has taught them that the previous grueling touring schedule is not necessary. And while live events do need to come back, maybe cut down on just how many, so that
Oh no, I don't think it's going to be this like, oh, right out of the gates we're doing house shows in every town, and and there was a forecasting in the kind of middle part of 2020 that they wouldn't even get back to that well into 2022. So this is just going to be some things. So my focus would be that maybe we're fortunate. WrestleMania will be seen as, what do we do here? I think that they'll go back to the Thunderdome closed set element. I think there will be an intermingling of the Thunderdome virtual fan element at WrestleMania, which will be smart. And I think that'll continue. That the whatever the Thunderdome is, there's too many fans that love that thing. And there's too many ways to integrate that into product placements and different things you can do. And you can bring celebrities into a show and not have them actually there. There's a lot of those things in culture and pop culture that are not going to go away,
and especially with coming back, I know a guy who can get them a great deal on a venue in Knoxville, Tennessee when they finally go back there.
Who's that? Who's getting them the deal in Knoxville? Who's getting them the deal?
Some guy named Glenn. But I hope
you're ridiculous.
You brought up a very interesting point of them keeping a semblance of the Thunderdome and the live fans. I do hope that we see a Jack Din sign on the Thunderdome. If that reference was only for you and me. But I think we're going to see a different WWE when they're able to do live events again.
Nashakur's texting in saying, I love the Thunderdome. I've done it 8 times. I've heard some people that love being a part of it. If there's more things they can do with it that make it closer to the live experience. Our very own John Clark was a part of one of the recent Thunderdome streams when they introduced live fans to the NXT tapings, which go down in the Capitol Wrestling Center. Those live broadcasts, they do have live fans there. Those are selected and casted and tested and contact traced. It's very limited. And they have, though, used taped fans on the video walls there. Now they're using live fans there, and they're using live fans virtually. He told me they were kind of ramping up the crowd between commercial breaks and actually talking to you while they're doing it. So, if they can do something where you get a closer experience to a live show that's separate from watching it on television, but it's still TV, right? There's just a little bit more. I think then you're in the territory of maybe this thing isn't free anymore. Maybe this is, you pay a little bit, or hey, we're going to do it like a charity tie-in or something like that. There's a lot of different things that WWE hasn't done with the Thunderdome. They just really tried to build up the infrastructure of it. And I'm not talking about the on-air product. I'm talking about how infrastructure, the Thunderdome is a success. Whether or not you like the look of it, it is a successful thing that fans got conditioned to, that WWE production-wise got better at doing. And I thought the Royal Rumble would be not a fun thing to watch without a live crowd. I didn't even think about it. I thought about it just for the sake of not hearing the pop Christian deserved. And I get it. It's a pandemic. There's no way to actually that was an element of it too. I agree, but it wasn't like this, this takes away from it. I think we're kind of conditioned away from that. And WWE is pivoting now towards, they're going to have to condition people to get back to events. And that's going to be a challenge in itself. That's going to be a challenge in some major cities. And also for the international fans, you're not going to see anything, I really think, until the later end of 2022. That isn't anyone from the company saying that. It is me purely speculating. I see that with a lot of touring bands. If you see it with live entertainment, WWE is going to kind of parlay into that because they have to use a lot of the same union labor in every different market. And they then look at those costs overseas. And also WWE is going to start bringing back employees that have been on furlough for months and months at a time. So their revenue is going to go up. This is a scaling too thing. This is not an immediate green light on we're filling arenas again. And the world doesn't operate like that. WWE is simply saying we're not operating like that either.
I do feel, though, and this comes back to a point that you mentioned earlier, when they are able to bring back some live fans, I do think that we might see some people in the Thunderdome who are really into their Snickers t-shirt. But I think they will be able to incorporate more merchandising like that. But still, it is a thing where it makes people feel a little bit more involved, which is always good. If you couldn't go to Raw that night, you live in the city, or just if Raw's in Nashville and you're in Memphis, it's a great thing to have. I think, especially, it's an innovation. Innovations can stay. They're not there to just. Nobody came up with this technology just to use it for a year and then throw it away.
True. And it'll still have some presence on the shows. Michael asking, are WrestleMania tickets on sale yet? No, they are not. I know some people are joining us late. No, they are not on sale yet. Other people saying, just in terms of the industry in general, I know independent wrestling events want to be able to run as soon as they can. There is some speculation of whether or not GCW, one of the bigger independent promotions, is going to run the collective convention of events in Tampa. I expect they will. They've tried to book some venues. We haven't heard any confirmed announcements of those dates just yet. But what about AEW? They've been running with limited live fans in Florida, in a state that very much wants outside revenue to come into state. That's their tax structure. That's why they are the most open. That is why WrestleMania will be there. That is why the Super Bowl will be there this Sunday as well. Daniel Mero saying, do you expect AEW to increase the attendance numbers this year? And in your opinion, is daily plays every week getting stale? Well, I'll get to the first part of that question here as we're staying on topic with live events, live fans kind of coming back to wrestling. They're doing around 850 fans. They're selling block tickets. They're doing pods. They're doing social distancing. They have employees there just to keep your mask on. And there's been many people that you notice this too. Not a lot of live shots of fans on AEW Dynamite shows. They do not cut to the fans very often. And I think part of that is they don't want to cut to those fans who have their masks off or have their masks not covering their nose. And still, even with those fans not covering their nose, they maybe they don't want to show a crowd of people with masks on. Some people maybe not want to see that. There's logistics of the aesthetics of all those different things. So I think AEW is doing as much as they can. I think WWE is doing it as well, but they're doing it in their own way. They're a company on a much larger scale. So I think for AEW, yes, I see more fans attending those shows before the end of 2021. More vaccines roll out. And obviously the vaccine rollout is not going as fast as it would. I mean, if it was, we'd be talking about a lot more fans at WrestleMania, a lot more things going on, but it just isn't that way. It just isn't that way. Idealistically, we were hoping for fans at the Royal Rumble. We were talking about that in July or August, but we had a surge in the fall of COVID cases that were very drastic and very awful. And it's very scary. I'm not denying the awful tragedy that it's.
And there is also not even the awful part, but the most effective vaccines are the not just with production, but with distribution. It's difficult.
Yeah.
The Pfizer vaccine has to be kept colder than most refrigerated
than Glacier.
Trucks.
It has to be colder than Glacier of WCW.
So I used to work in trucking. Most refrigerated trucks get down to about -10. Some of them that specialize do -20 so they can do ice cream. The Pfizer vaccine has to be what, -80?
Yeah.
So the Pfizer vaccine has to be colder than 99.9% of truck refrigerator units go. And imagine trying to distribute that.
Sound off. Let us know what WWE events that you're excited to see in 2021 and 2022. We are looking that far ahead here, guys. And just be patient, I think would be the main thing. I think hopefully we've developed some level of patience. I think it'll just be fun to watch shows with a live crowd on TV. There's a part of me that thinks that's fun too. So
also, it is so much easier to be patient when you've lost track of what month it is. So just do that and you'll be fine.
I know we've heard the debates in the comedy world. We work in live comedy and different things like that. There have been limited events. The clubs have shut down. They reopen. They come back around. I think some of the clubs have really pivoted well to a limited capacity, but let's do more streaming to bring people in that don't want to physically be here. So I'm happy to announce I am going that route. I went that route in October with the Milwaukee Comedy Festival, incredible team in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the Laughing Tap. I will be performing with the great Rena Calm February 12th and 13th live in Milwaukee. Limited fans will be able to buy fans, not fans of me, fans of comedy in general. Now I'm not a draw, buddy. I'm a curtain jerker. I know what I am.
I've got 3 Rena t-shirts in my closet.
You got 3. You got 3. See, Rena makes cool lunch too. Guys,
I'm kidding. They all had dumb stuff on the back.
No, Rena loves puns, guys. If you enjoy a funny joke, you'll enjoy Rena Calm. And the reason I bring it up is because no matter where you are, you will be able to watch this show. We will do a show on February 12th and February 12th and 13th at 8 p.m. both nights Central Time. It's $10. $10. Live interactive show. It'll be streaming to you anywhere you want to watch it. I believe you'll be able to watch it for up to 24 hours after the show. Double check with me on that. Reach out to me on Twitter at Kev Kellam if you want the link, at Kev Kellam on Twitter. I will have all the information up there after the show today. If you're listening on the podcast, you can get your tickets through Laughing Tap, the Laughing Tap, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Streams anywhere. Another thing is you're supporting an independent venue, an independently owned business completely. They own the building, they operate the building, and a lot of those businesses are still struggling, waiting for the government funding to come and help them out, right? So if you want to help that out, help me out. Hey, I'm back on the road, man. My weekends are open since I'm not on air on the weekends now. So I'm going to try and do events that are safe. I do have a show coming up in March as well in Valparaiso, Indiana. So I'm kind of spreading them out. But let's focus here on the 12th and the 13th, Valentine's Day weekend. You want to do something fun with your sweetie? Yeah, you're not going anywhere, but you want to make it a little bit of an event? $10. $10 you would spend somewhere else. $10 you'd spend on Starbucks, right? Spend it on the old Kevster, and I'll yell about my insecurities. And Rena Calm will make your gal pal laugh pretty loud. So definitely check that out.
Can honestly say, having seen Kevin perform stand-up multiple times, he will wake you up more than one of Starbucks' milkshakes with a splash of coffee.
Yell him, kill him, baby. You know what's up, Quaz. You know what's going on. Thank you for putting me over. I appreciate it. So outside of WWE business news, we do have to talk about some other things that are definitely outside of WWE. So we get news here from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Obviously, Kenta showed up last night. Kenta, formerly known as Hideo Itami in WWE. He had a big run in Japan, came to WWE, didn't have the most successful run, though he had some fun matches, several injuries, but just wasn't fruitful. His run back in Japan has been absolutely fantastic for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and people wanted to know, would the forbidden door of non-WWE be opened between New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW? Dave Meltzer saying there were some childish words handed back and forth. New Japan feeling that AEW would be a flash in the pan internally. That has been squelched. Obviously, AEW quite successful, the big game changer of 2020, 2019. They are here to stay. And it looks like the door is open. Now, that door, though, does have limitations. Kenta resides in Orlando, Florida, so it's easy for him to do these things. Any of the New Japan talent that are signed that are stateside, they do the New Japan Strong show on their streaming service that is exclusively focused on a closed set at the New Japan Dojo in California. That talent could be open in this deal. The door is open, and it looks like Kenta is definitely going to be a part of AEW. Confirmed for a match from the company. He'll be tagging with Kenny Omega next week. Him and Kenny Omega against Jon Moxley, a partner whose name eludes me right now. I don't have it in my notes, but this is a big deal, right?
Absolutely. Aside from people on Twitter complaining that Kenta stole CM Punk's move,
I have a story. I have a story directly from Kenta about that. I'll tell you before they show.
The important thing here to me is that AEW, its entire existence, has offered wrestlers an alternative to WWE. You get their selling point is you get to own your gimmick. We're not going to have writers for you. You get to work indies, and that's what separates them for wrestlers. Now they have solidified their big thing of what's going to separate them for fans. And that is WWE. It's a publicly traded company. It has to exist within its own world, within its own universe. AEW is saying, we're going to extend the universe. We want to work with NWA. We want to work with Impact. We want to work with New Japan. And if there is a wrestler who you love, who's under contract with a promotion that isn't named WWE, you might just see him in an AEW ring, no matter who else they're signed to.
Yeah, and it's worth noting this week's AEW Dynamite had people from 4 different promotions under contract on the show. So you have people from Impact, under contract with Impact, under contract with NWA, Thunder Rosa, and under contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Jon Moxley has that already. He already has a deal to do matches. Kenta's entire deal showing up at the end of the show was to attack him and follow up. Mind you, the writing was on the wall that this was going to happen, but it just happened, and it still feels big just to see it happen, even though they were going in this direction. Because Moxley got attacked Kenta last week at a New Japan event in the United States, and that close set I was telling you about. So it makes sense to go in this direction, but obviously it's a much bigger stage to do it on TNT on a Wednesday night.
Absolutely. And again, AEW is now cementing themselves as we are going to be all of the wrestling world outside of WWE. If there's somebody you love on the indies, they could show up without signing a contract just to be there for a night or two. So what AEW is doing is different. It's something that I haven't seen a company this big do before on this scale in most forms of entertainment.
WWE's done. Everyone's saying WWE doesn't do this type of thing. They've done it. They've done it to some degree. They have deals with IWC in progress that they have Evolve, which is basically a feeder system for NXT.
Yeah.
And they have those deals presently. They've done deals in the past with Japanese promotions in the 80s and 90s. They've done deals with, Mexican promotions that go on and off. So, they've done stuff like this before, so it isn't unheard of, but WWE is a completely different company than it was then. For AEW, this is something they need to do now, at least for the foreseeable future. We also have MLW, which is on Fusion. They have their show Weekly Fusion. They're openly collaborating with AAA out of Mexico. AAA already has a deal with AEW as well. And it's through, I believe Brian Pillman is maybe still under contract with them, or his deal may be done, and he was on AEW on Wednesday night. So it's a completely different circumstance outside of the WWE. And the reason people say, well, why is it so different than WWE? Because they're signing deals with networks, and they need things a little bit more concrete. And they have a proprietary deal that they want to own, almost like a Disney or a Warner, that they want to do. Mind you, AEW is doing business with Warner. The issue with this deal is that it makes it harder for that content with all these different people from different companies to get behind a streaming service. That is the downside of this deal, because it makes it harder to be able to license those things long run. But overall, if we're seeing live events in the later end of 2021, 2022, with New Japan talent on it and AEW talent on it, the fans win. It's a win-win.
And also, if again, to bring in some other companies, Disney Plus is getting the Muppet Show this month, which they weren't able to do for so long because of all the rights to all the music that was on that nobody thought about in the 70s. AEW needs this attention now. They need these eyes now. And when it comes to a streaming service, they can cross that bridge when they come to it. When it comes from 10 years from now, if AEW is successful enough and is a big enough company that people really need that legacy content, then they'll be able to have the money to work that stuff out. So right now, it's I understand. Focus on now. Focus on the future. Don't worry about that past content until you really, really need to, because it's better to be a company that's still going strong in 5 years and doesn't have that together than a company that only lasted 2 years but is able to make a box set.
Daniel Miller with all the hot ones. Dan always trying to poke the bear and say, is WWE worried? Are they scared? Will this get them to work on their creative booking? Do you think WWE should be worried? No, they should be scared. Oh no, they're running to the hills because Kenta showed up on AEW. No. They just signed they just signed $1 billion deal for 5 years. And they have 2 different TV properties with 2 of the biggest media companies in the world. Okay? 2 of the biggest media companies in the world. Put this into perspective. More people watch Bad Bunny's bit from this week's Royal Rumble than watched Dynamite last night. That's the truth.
Kevin, quick question about if WWE should be worried about Kenta being on AEW. Remember all those times Kenta was on NXT?
Yeah. Yeah.
Under a different
exactly.
and they chose not to keep him. So AEW is doing what's great for them, but WWE isn't. WWE is focused on WWE.
Yeah.
If you, I think this might be a topic for another time, but I think with NBC Sportsnet going away and all the backlash from that, NXT might not be on Wednesday nights on USA.
That was addressed in today's business call. Nick Khan, WWE executive, saying it is not changing. That does not affect them. So do not. Everyone say, "Oh, they're going to move," because they're saying it's not changing anything. All right. They have a contract. They have a contract for that show. So Kevin, they have a deal.
They hired an executive whose last name is Khan as a message to AEW.
They did that. That's the only reason that happened. They're scared. That's the thing that drove me crazy about this. And I tweeted this out today. I was like, just enjoy it. Why does it have to be this thing that somebody who's not even on the show cares about?
We're going to see a character show up on Firefly Funhouse named Hibernating Husky that's only going to be there to insult Cody and WWE. Oh, they don't even know Bray Wyatt's going to do that. No. It's fine.
Yeah. What are the chances of an AEW ever getting a streaming service? Well, I don't think they need a streaming service. They need to be on a subscription-based streaming service that's bigger than them, like WWE just did with Peacock. I think there's burnout with that. There's burnout with the direct-to-consumer streaming service thing. That's why WWE made the move when they did.
I do think, though, eventually we might see AEW. I don't think we'll see live pay-per-views for a long time on it, but I do think that eventually we will get AEW content on HBO Max.
I've been saying that for a while. I think it's a huge move that they can make. Just like WWE's name is going to be right next to all these other big properties, right? If AEW could put their name right next to Adult Swim and DC Comics and HBO, that'd be huge.
And
it'd be so good. It'd be so good. It'd be the right thing for them to do. Yeah. Other things and
then we'll finally get Cody on Robot Chicken.
Yeah. Give us the collabs we want, man. Give us the collabs we want.
Give me a Moral Oral special with Orange Cassidy.
He says 2 words. He just doesn't do anything. Hey, what's up? Hey, Moral. What's going on, Oral? The cool thing about me is I don't try. Aren't I representation of an entire generation? I don't want to try. Doesn't make me great.
Well, all I know is Jim Cornette hated it.
Orange Cassidy is the savior of crappy open mic comics, isn't he, Adam? I want to show up, not try, and get the cool points. That's what he is. So let's get into AEW.
Oh, and also having merch with your face on it.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
There should be an aptitude test to have merch for comedians.
Let's get into WWE deals that are a little bit more challenging. Obviously, people say, how is this deal going to challenge WWE, what AEW is doing? Well, it's going to still challenge them because they're still competing with AEW on ratings. AEW still has the lead here. We get the ratings from Wednesday night from Showbuzz Daily on Thursday afternoons. Another reason we delayed today's show. AEW Beach Break did very, very well for the promotion. Got them a number 3 finish on cable television. AEW Dynamite drew 844,000 overnight viewers. That number could grow. This is up from last week's overnight number of 734, where they were a lot more competitive with WWE. WWE was within 15,000 viewers of them that week. The show this week drew a 0.32. This is strong in the 18 to 49 demographic. The only shows that did better than it were the NBA on ESPN and the Challenge on MTV. NXT, though, was just outside of the top 50. It went down to 610 from 720 the previous week and did a 0.15 in the 18 to 49 demographic. So this is around what we're expecting. A lot of turbulence with the AEW rating, but you didn't know Kenta was going to show up at the end of the show. They did advertise some cool stuff, like specifically that 6-man where you had Omega and the Good Brothers versus Jon Moxley, Rey Fenix, and Pac. And you did have a wedding. So you had Moxley in the main event, I think is always a big thing. He's a lot more, I think people are forgetting how much of a draw he is. So here are the ratings this week.
Yeah. First off, you mentioned it. I do just have to, from The Simpsons, say, "How about a crazy wedding where something happened to do?"
Oh yes, there was a wedding. There was a wedding last night on AEW Dynamite. I did a review of it. If you guys haven't checked it out, my review with John Clark is up now. I thought it was the dumbest thing on the show in terms of the content of the show. I thought AEW was getting way too cheeky. They wanted the tongue in the cheek, but the tongue was on the nose, man. It was way too, we're not going to do a wrestling wedding, but we're going to do a wrestling wedding. And it was too much. Yeah. It was too much.
Back to the ratings. I do think it's interesting that they did fall behind. The first episode of the challenge to not have Leo Rush on it, but to also play the Meat Spin song. So it was interesting to hear that it fell behind the only show MTV shows that isn't ridiculousness. But yeah, it's wrestling. It's a wrestling wedding. We all know what's going to happen. You can say it's going to be different. That just means that you had 3 different lines. Wrestling weddings are wrestling weddings are wrestling weddings. We And especially when people tell us, "Oh, you know wrestling's fake, right?" Show them a wrestling wedding and ask them what bride would ever agree to that. I did enjoy the sleazy vows from Kip. And
so did you like it? Were you a fan of it?
Was it the worst wrestling wedding I've ever seen? No, but it was a wrestling wedding, so it wasn't great.
Okay.
Also, Orange Cassidy, when you pop out of a cake, you're not supposed to be wearing that many clothes. I'm just saying that's a health hazard in a health crisis. And I can't get behind that complete disregard for sanitation. Do you know how much bacteria denim can hold?
Oh, don't say it to me. I wear jeans all the time. Don't say it to me, man. You're scaring me, dude. I don't need that. I don't need to be scared.
Don't eat frosting off your pants is all I'm saying.
Dude, that's your takeaway quote for the show. Don't eat frosting off pants, Adam Kwaselow. We will get into your questions every Thursday. We like to dive more into your questions, so get those going right now. If you haven't checked out the other shows we have on the channel, go ahead and hit that like button. All right, I'm looking at the amount of likes we have right now, and that does not feel significant. If you've been watching for over 40 minutes, we're gonna get you on screen even more. If you haven't gotten on screen yet, go ahead and start firing off your questions about anything.
I just need to respond to Nesha in the chat. Nesha, if you love Jersey Shore and Revenge Prank, awesome, but you can't look me in the eye and tell me that MTV is not showing ridiculousness 23 hours a day. I need Rob Deerdeck to leave MTV alone. Okay? Look at it when it's not new episodes of the shows you love. It's ridiculousness followed by an episode of ridiculousness, followed by an episode of ridiculousness, which is then followed by an episode of ridiculousness.
New viewers.
Okay, you want to talk about bad booking? You want to talk about repetitive booking, wrestling fans? Look at MTV with ridiculousness.
You are way off topic here, pal. I do not want that Jersey Shore smoke. Okay, I don't want that brought upon WrestleZone.
I am not saying a bad word about Jersey Shore. I'm just saying it's not the show that MTV shows 23 hours a day.
Do you want to get this story in here before we end here? So a feel-good story coming from a former WWE superstar. Don't know if you're aware of this one here. Former WWE superstar Tyler X making gender transition to female. She put out this information. Formerly known as Gabby, is transitioned post WWE and into a new career as a fitness guru, bodybuilder, motivational speaker, doing a lot of different things. This is a wonderful thing. An upcoming segment on Extra TV. We'll be documenting it this week on February 5th. Congratulations to her. That's a wonderful thing. Very good news for her and that change in her life. So very, very happy news. I don't mind pointing that out.
there is nothing wrong with living your life as your best self in the way that you identify, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Congrats, Gabby.
Congrats to her. Very happy for that. And also just like you see someone make a complete like transition your life career wise. Coming out of WWE is a big thing because so many people want to be there or be in a major company. So how do you do that? You've seen some people do some really successful things like that. And maybe it opens up your eyes about your life and different personal things. So very, very wonderful. Very happy for her to have that as well. We'll jump into your questions here in a little bit. Do want to see a couple here. I like this one from 219. Are we talking about Northwest Indiana? We got the region up in here. Let's talk about Edge. Edge made an appearance on WWE NXT. Some very, very interesting stuff with him. He is definitely teasing on television on Monday Night Raw and NXT where he's going to go. The word is that he is going for Roman Reigns and the Universal Championship as the Royal Rumble winner. All right. And that seems almost like a lock. So this question from 219 Sosa, he says, if Edge picks Drew at Mania, who would you guys pick for Roman? Thanks. Well, I mean, right now we're hearing he's picking Roman, but let's just be hypothetical, right? We're having fun. Fire for questions just like this. All the hypotheticals, we don't mind them, especially this far into the show. Roman, obviously everyone wants The Rock, but that's not going to happen, right? That's not happening, at least this year.
Yeah, no, The Rock is retired from wrestling, guys. He has stated
he's good.
This.
He's going to do this match. I'm confident he's going to do this match at some point.
Maybe it'll happen on the Titan games, but I don't think it's going to happen in a WWE.
It'll be halftime at the first XFL game.
I think The Rock, or as Warren Sapp calls him, Dewey, is done with wrestling.
I don't think so. I think there is a chance for him to be able to do this match. At least he's got to be able to do it soon, because that guy's 50's not too far away for him. And I think if we had a normal circumstance this year, he definitely would have been on this year's WrestleMania.
He would have been doing press junkets for Jungle Cruise. He would have been he is an incredibly busy man. And especially now with a network television show, I honestly don't think he even has the time to train for a wrestling match anymore. I don't think we see him in a ring again. I don't think we see him competing in a ring again.
I think there was the issue with him getting back into wrestling in 2012 where he had the injuries and different things like that. And so there was insurance issues. Like if he gets hurt, that messes up the production of his show. But now he's a producer. Now this guy is much more of a producer and he holds a lot more weight with these things. Does he need to have a pivoted window to be able to do this and have it be right? Yeah. But you can get injured on an action movie set, but I guess they'd rather have you do that there in front of a stadium full of people, right?
I still think, even though he is a producer now, one, that is going to take some time. Two, Titan Games got to shoot. Sequels to Fast and the Furious 53's got to shoot. Jumanji 3's got to shoot. It's going to happen. You and I both know it's going to happen. All right, there's going to be more Fast and the Furious movies than there are stars in the night sky. But I do not, and I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm cool with it. But, I think we've seen this happen with, we see the wrestlers turned actor. Edge turned actor because he had to, and he always wanted to be back in that wrestling ring.
Yes.
Batista never has to work another day in his life, and I think he's cool with just saying no to whatever he wants. And he's also said
he's done.
I've wrestled my last match.
Yeah, and I saw it, and also that match is underrated. His match with Triple H at WrestleMania 2 years ago, that's an underrated match. If you go back and watch it, they had a really good one.
And that was one where he said to Triple H, "I want you to be my last match.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want." Remember that?
That's not what I want. That's what I want. That's one of my favorite moments ever, just because that's dealing with customer service right away. Well, we can give you the showtime back, and that's not what I want.
That's what I want. Different questions, different topics coming in here.
What I really, really want. I'll tell you what I want. What I really, really want. He just wanted to really, really, really want to sing a cigar.
Dude, come on. Work in the Spice Girls at WrestleMania. Come on. WWE goes to the UK.
Please.
They get the Spice Girls there. Spice up your life. I'm down.
Oh my God, Alexa Bliss could be Firefly Spice.
Are we fantasy booking a WWE Spice Girls faction?
Yes, Naomi is glow stick Spice.
Who's sporty? Who gets to be the WWE sporty?
Shayna Baszler is Fighty Spice.
Fighty Spice. Who gets to be posh?
Yeah,
that's Carmella. Carmella gets to be posh.
Absolutely. Carmella is
or Sasha. I think Sasha would be pissed if she wasn't there, right?
No, she's their manager because she's the boss.
Becky Lynch is Ginger Spice. Okay, we're just gonna go there. We're just gonna lock that up right away.
We all know it. Becky Lynch's last kicker Spice. We all know
it. I think we're gonna get a whole new blowback on this week's show for booking a WWE Spice Girls tribute. We've gone into some ridiculous.
Well, don't stop now.
Things. Yeah, I know we're not.
Very much. I need somebody with the human touch.
We covered quite a bit. If you're joining us late, we covered quite a bit on this WWE quarterly call, the business arrangement, the NBC deal being a lot more integration. Is there an integration? We're fantasy booking here, 50 minutes in, of what WWE can do with NBC. We know they're going to have several WWE superstars on the upcoming Punky Brewster reboot show. We've seen some different things they're doing with Peacock. We know WrestleMania is going to be, they're going to have Fastlane, right? But do we see some people on SNL? Do we see some people on NBC presentation of sports? Do we see some people tied into the Olympics? That'd be crazy. What do you think they can do? What's the ceiling there?
Well, first off, we all know The Miz has to be in the next Purge movie. I think we are gonna on the big network show. I don't even know what does NBC have the voice? Because if they have the voice, we're getting some wrestlers on the voice.
They do have that.
We're getting wrestlers on the voice. Here's what I think is that we're gonna get a Sunday night football game where in the pre-show they have
a match. They do a match?
No. Xavier Woods as the home team of that game playing Madden against another wrestler.
And NBC Universal has G4, right? That's coming back at some point. They have that video game
Woods
channel.
Is going to be involved with G4.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
I hope, yeah. And from what I've heard, there are talks with Olivia Munn to come back. The only person G4 actually launched. I think there could be a lot with it. Obviously, you get more wrestlers showing up on things. You don't bring back the Big Show because that was terrible, but maybe you give somebody else a sitcom, or you just have you have them as guest stars. You get the wrestlers who are the best actors and let them show up in an episode.
But I mean, with the streaming service, there's really you're not bound by the same rating structure. You're bound by finding an audience and getting behind a pay window. But then you can still do ads. So they get the best of both worlds. They get to do the linear sell to ads and demos, and then they get to do hey, you're paying your $5 and we got you, and here's your digital platform you can get it on.
I would love to see them do, even sillier things like they have all those classic Universal monster movies. Have wrestlers do intros for them.
Yeah, like watch-alongs and like all the different categories you have, like WWE movie night on Peacock where you have wrestlers watching it and different. I'd be down for that. We're pitching some great ideas.
You can't tell me that you wouldn't love to hear Daniel Bryan discuss how much the Wolfman meant to him. I would love to see classic movie discussions like that.
I agree. I would love to see more WWE people on SNL. I love SNL. I think it's one of the best franchises in television history.
But that they need to take pro wrestler integration out of MADTV's playbook because, and I'm gonna get some heat for this, but I need to live my truth. MADTV was funnier than SNL.
Stop it, Adam. Adam, stop it.
Kenny
Stop-
Rogers'
stop what you're saying.
Jackass is one of the greatest comedy sketches of all time. And
Kenny
you
Rogers
can't tell me
Jackass?
it's not.
I'm Kenny Rogers. Look at the Jackass.
I'm Kenny Rogers, and this is the catching a bat with my teeth trick. I was raised on the dairy, bitch. Once again, Will Sasso for WWE Hall of Fame.
Will Sasso for is it Will Sasso? What's the hashtag we're going for?
That is, I haven't actually thought about this because he has never responded anytime I put this on Twitter.
All right, we're going Will Sasso for WWE HOF. That's what we're going for. Okay, that is the hashtag. That is the official, unofficial campaign. People asking Adam if you're drunk right now.
I am a completely sober person, so this is just me normally. I'm not drunk. I just grew up in a broken home, and that's what this is.
You're compensating for a lack of companionship with some silence. You're trying to fill the silence with something.
My dad stormed out angrily from my Simpsons themed bar mitzvah carrying the cardboard cutout of Homer Simpson. All right, this is who I am.
Doe.
I would spend 10 hours in the emergency room because all I had to drink that day was Mountain Dew.
Oh,
You get what you get with me.
On that note, I'm sipping some of the Dew for you right now. On that note,
Look, I still drink Mountain Dew. I don't know any other beverage that tastes like camo. It's delicious.
You're Adam. I love you, buddy. It's been so fun having you on. If they want to follow you on the platforms or what have you, do you have any content you're doing online coming up?
So Twitter and Instagram is at Kwaselow, KWASELOW. Don't know if they're showing my name on the screen.
I don't have it written up here. Spell that out for me again. Is it A Kwaselow?
No, it's just Kwaselow.
Okay, Kwaselow. Yeah, I'll put that up.
When your last name is as weird as mine, it's very available on most websites. On the 16th at 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific, I will be doing a virtual comedy show for Flappers Comedy Club in Los Angeles. I believe the name of the show is Amanda Cohen Presents. I will be Jackie Kashian, I believe, will also be on that. And
Jackie Kashian, that'll be great.
Yeah. And former Chicago comedian who just recently moved, Jake Knoll.
Love Jake. It's awesome, man. It's great.
So I believe I put in my bio on the Flappers website that ESPN's Katie Nolan once mispronounced my name on her podcast. So that's where you can find me, at Kwaselow on Twitter, at Kwaselow on Instagram.
And you'll have the links. You'll have the links for the show up there as well. You'll have the links for the show up there as well.
Quaz, not Quaz on Venmo.
If you guys are on Twitter, go follow him. He has very, very ridiculous takes.
Thank you.
His ridiculous tank. His tank of ridiculous takes is never empty. And I feel less funny than I did pre-pandemic. There's some people like Kwaselow. I'm like, you're funnier than you were in 2019.
Kevin, quick question about one of my Twitter takes, because it is all wrestling.
Sure.
Rhea Ripley, Tony Storm, Billie Kay, Peyton Royce. Should we call them the 4 Sheilas or the 4 Kangaroo Women?
Because they're all from Australia.
Yes. Tony Storm moved to Australia when she was 4. She counts.
Yeah, absolutely. She counts. What are the two names? What are the two options there?
The 4 Sheilas.
Sheila. That's a very Australian name.
And since the 4 horsewomen is taken, the 4 kangaroo women.
Kangaroo woman. It doesn't have the same pounds to it that horsewoman does, you know?
So you're saying the 4 Sheilas.
There's another one out there. You know, there's another one, you know, there's another spin. For anyone who's listening,
the Aussie Posse?
I think the Aussie Posse would be great. Oi, oi, oi. I know we have listeners who listen to the podcast and watch the show in Australia. Hit us both up. Hit up Kwaselow, at Kwaselow on Twitter. Hit up at WrestleZone.com. Let us know. Give us a name for the 4 Aussie ladies.
I got it. Because you worked at a rock station.
Yes.
Fosters the people, because Foster's Australian for beer.
Fosters the posse. That's what
Fosters the people.
Yeah. Yes. Fosters. It's Australian for beer. So definitely here. Some people saying Aussie hotties. No, it's done. Hotties is so played out. That is so 2000 and late, if you ask me. So yeah, but I get it here. This has been interesting and a different kind of show. I absolutely agree. That's why we try to have you on the Thursdays. Definitely here. People saying, what about the Wallabies?
You know one thing. We're
What's that?
going off the rails.
Oh, we went off the rails so many times. I can see some regular listeners of the show being upset about this. Let me know. Would you feel about Adam on the show? Should we have Adam back?
Send all of my hate mail to Kevin Kellam on Twitter.
Don't do that. I don't want that. You got me.
You're just going to get a bunch of DMs like that fat Jew was.
I didn't say that. You said that.
No, that's what the people said.
Claus, love you, buddy. Miss you so much. Thank you so much for doing this.
As I said to you before we started, I'm really glad that you're my friend, and this is a friendship that'll never, ever end.
It'll never, ever end. Thank you so much. Remember, when watching wrestling, the most important thing to do is not bitch because Kenta didn't do this exact move that you think he should have done, or why aren't they doing this thing that I've fantasy booked in my head? Mind you, we spent an hour debating and speculating about all these things, but let's get back to wrestling safely. Let's cover our noses and mouths. Let's keep our social distance. Let's transition back to another night at the matches, and we will get there. And when we are there, we will boo the bad guy, and we will cheer the good guy, and we